Okay, hello. I am Melissa,
And I'm Allie,
and this is Liverpool, USA,
best friends podcast for two best friends.
and that is who we are.
Yeah. Um Today we're talking about body modification, specifically tattoos and piercings, since that's what we have experience with. But I do want to talk about some other body modifications like at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think first we should just kind of briefly list off, what we have in terms of tattoos and piercings, what we have experience with. And also, I just always love knowing about, other people's tattoos and piercings because I think they're cool. So I would love to just each take a turn, like telling the people what we've got going on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got three piercings in each earlobe. So I got three little earrings in each ear, and I have just like a normal lip piercing. And those are all the piercings that I have. And then for tattoos, I have just a little outline. It's like maybe an inch. I don't know, bigger than that maybe. Just a little like outline of a heart on the back of my neck. And then I've got a little like a couple inches on my left hip like area, like upper hip butt area of a little plastic vampire fangs, just like a black outline.
Yeah.
And that's it so
I have
far.
Yeah. I have like regular earlobe piercings. Um I have two in each ear, but the second holes like kind of are closed up and I never wear earrings in them, and I don't know, they existed at one point but they kind of don't anymore. So I mostly just have like regular earlobe piercings. Again, I had they existed at one point, two cartilage piercings on the same ear, and now I only have one cartilage piercing because the other one got like really angry and I took it out, and it's, I think, closed up now. I don't really know, but I think it's closed up now. So just one cartilage piercing, and that's all the piercings I have. I really want a nose piercing, but that is a story for another time later. And as for tattoos, I have the word femme, like the French word for woman, tattooed on like my ribs, I guess, but it's like front rib, like underneath my boob, kind of. And then I have a teacup on my ankle. I have a sailboat on my ankle, same ankle, and then on that same ankle, I have a Doug fir tree, and those are all just like black outlines, and the all of my tattoos are just like black ink, basically just outlines. And then I have a carnation on my shoulder. And then I also have on my hip, I have a skeleton hand making a finger gun. One of my more iconic tattoos.
Yeah.
And that's all my tattoos.
Yeah. I don't wait, which hip is your skeleton finger gun hand on?
It is on my right
It's
hip.
on the right. Okay, that's what I thought. I couldn't remember for a second. I fully got, well, part of it was just like I thought that the left hip would be better just for like personal aesthetic preference on my body.
Yeah.
But honestly, in the Nickelback song, I think it's in SEX, there's a line that says tattoo on her left hip. And I'm not
Oh
gonna
my
lie,
God.
that influenced the placement decision of my
That
tattoo.
is one of the most I don't that is one of the best things I've ever heard you say, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you
Yeah,
didn't
that's
know that.
just
I guess I haven't really said
no,
that to anyone.
but that is amazing. We're gonna talk later about
Yeah,
ass
more story
tattoos,
what. Yeah.
but yeah, that is iconic. It adds,
It does
as we
add.
would say.
It does add.
um, yeah, so that's kind of, we both have just like black outline tattoos. Neither of us have any like huge tattoos.
No.
All of mine are really small. The
Yeah.
carnation on my shoulder is the biggest one I have, and it's still only like probably like 4 or 5 inches tall and like 2 or 3 inches wide. So it's like still not even that big. Yeah, neither of us have color tattoos. And neither of us have like really gnarly piercings. Like we have pretty basic
No.
piercings.
Yeah, and I think I'm done with piercings, to be honest. I
Yeah.
used to really want in the industrial ear piercing, but that's like really tough to heal, I hear. And then
Yeah.
for just a while, I kind of wanted a nose piercing because I thought that it would look cool with my lip piercing, like, to have like the matching rings. I think that's a cool look, but
Yeah.
I think that I'm done with piercings. I have enough. And but tattoos, I don't know. I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
plans. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
me
yeah.
too. I wanted to like start this off with asking, how did you grow up with tattoos and piercings? Like what was the vibe in your household about tattoos and piercings?
For me, my dad has always been very, very anti like piercing, hair dye, tattoos, all of that stuff. And which is a little bit strange to me, to be honest, because he is an artist. And I feel
Mhm.
like generally artists are, tend to be more into that kind of thing, the whole
Yeah.
self-expression, creative, artsy thing.
Yeah.
But he's just very like more I guess you could say like simple in that way, like very
Mhm.
like practical, like you don't need to change yourself, to like feel better about yourself or whatever, which is like, not why I get piercings or whatever, but that,
Yeah.
that's a different thing, but he's very like he probably owns like 3 pairs of jeans, one pair of tennis shoes, and then like a handful of band t-shirts. Like, he's
Yeah.
not he doesn't fancy up, and so he's
Yeah.
just very, been like not about that stuff. My
Yeah.
mom, I feel like when we were younger, was like kind of not really into it. She was okay with ear piercings, and we got our ears pierced when we were 10. We were pretty young, and it was a
Mhm.
birthday thing. And
Yeah.
so she was okay with that because I feel like, that's a very typical, like, feminine thing to do is get your ears pierced. So we did that,
Yeah.
but she has a tattoo. She has a one
Mhm.
tattoo. Well, actually, she has two, but she has this one on her shoulder that she's had like since before we were born, and she
Mhm.
actually for like a lot of our life didn't like it. Like covered it up all the time, didn't take super good care of it. But then it was actually my sister and I, as we got older, like specifically in high school, and we started to get more into like alternative music and into like the
Mhm.
alternative scene, which involves a lot more, like hair dye, piercings, tattoos, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so her being more involved in that, she started to feel better about it too. And I think it's still definitely like kind of big for her. The
Yeah.
the concept of especially like her daughters getting tattoos and piercings and stuff like that. But she's
Mhm.
way more like open and like okay with it. So I feel like as we got older, she like got more into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of like the general vibe, I guess, for me growing up.
Yeah, for me, my family was pretty definitively anti-tattoo. Um, like it was definitely sort of the unspoken like expectation that my sister and I would never get tattoos. Like my parents would never get tattoos themselves. Um, Pretty much everybody in my family is pretty like not about tattoos. Um, and I would say that they are still that way. I mean, I obviously have tattoos. And so they had to get over it like at least enough to not be like mad at me about it. But and like I can talk about this more when I talk about like my first tattoo story. But yeah, my parents definitely are not huge fans of tattoos, and I like basically at this point have stopped talking to them about tattoos, like not in a like it's a secret way, but I just like won't tell them when I'm getting a
Yeah,
tattoo, like if
it's
I
like
have
not
plans
exciting
to.
news for them, so
Right,
well,
yeah.
yeah.
So they've never told me like you can't get a tattoo or like will,
Mhm.
do something. They've never been like that. It's definitely more of just they would never do it, and so they kind of don't understand why I would. Um, and so yeah, I kind of just keep it, as more of like a personal thing for me, and I don't really like talk to them about it. Obviously they see them sometimes, and they've never said anything like mean about them. In fact, my it's funny, like I got the carnation on my shoulder and I hadn't told my mom about it, but we went to Hawaii. This is like years ago, but we went to Hawaii, and obviously it's like on my shoulder, so as soon as I was like wearing a swimsuit or like wearing a tank top, it's like visible. And my mom was like, "Oh, you got a new tattoo." And I kind of thought that she would be like mad about it. But she ended up being like, "I actually like it." And I was like,
Oh,
"Yeah, it's
okay.
good."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
um
feel like sometimes the, older like adults who are super against tattoos forget that they're not all like, I don't know, skulls and profanities, I don't know, like
yeah,
the
yeah,
tattoos can be so many different things,
yeah,
flowers, like pretty things and classy things and yeah.
yeah. And meaningful things too. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that was the thing is I think my parents didn't quite understand how much meaning tattoos can have for some people. And so it wasn't just like a random thing that I got put on my body for like no reason. It was like a very meaningful thing. And once I explained the meaning to them, they were like, "Oh, that's really like special." And I was like, "Yeah, it's really special." Um, but yeah, so basically that was the vibe. Piercings were definitely less of an issue. My parents wouldn't have let me get like a face piercing when I was under 18. Like they wouldn't have let me do that because you have to have parent
Oh
permission
yeah,
anyways.
my
But
I wanted a lip piercing in high school and I had to wait until I went to college and
yeah,
and got it, yeah.
yeah, no, it was that. But like ear piercings, like I got my ears pierced for the first time when I was I think 5 or 6 years old. I
Oh
was pretty
wow.
young.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know I asked for it. Like my parents didn't just like take me to get my ears pierced. Like I know there are definitely some babies who just like get their ears pierced by their parents.
I'm not I'm not personally into that just because I think it's something even though it's a seemingly very simple thing, I feel like it's
Yeah,
something that you should let the person decide they want before. Like,
yeah,
I'm not super into the piercing bit. There's really no reason for it. I feel like it's a very hyper feminization thing and it's really unnecessary.
yeah, yeah. I definitely think it's like probably fine for kids to get their ears pierced once they're like old enough to ask for it and want it.
Yeah.
Especially because piercings are a lot less permanent. You can take the earrings out and you really can't tell. Usually if the person is young enough, they will just like close up.
Yeah.
Um so I don't think it's like that big of a deal, but I do think it should be when they're old enough to like want that and ask for
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I got my second earlobe piercings when I was in like 8th grade, I think. Um and then that's all I had until I was 18. And then when I was 18, I got my first tattoo. And then it wasn't, and when it was on my 20th birthday that I got my two cartilage piercings. And then the rest of my tattoos happened when I was 19, 20, 21. Didn't get any tattoos when I was 22, I don't believe,
Yeah.
because we entered a pandemic. So,
Yeah. I don't remember the age that I got. Well, I got my first piercings like I said. I was pretty young. It was a birthday thing. I could have been like
yeah.
10. It wasn't as young as
Mhm.
you, but it was pretty young. I think. And then
Mhm.
my next two, like in each of my ears, it was actually my hairdresser at the time
Yeah.
did it and which was not like I mean, I don't know if it's maybe it's illegal. I don't know. Anyway, it's like not how you're supposed to get it done, but it's fine.
Yeah.
um and That was when I was a junior and or senior in high school, I think.
Yeah, okay,
And
yeah.
then they were done like pretty close to each other. Like I think I got the third one like right after the second one's healed because I
Mm,
specifically wanted like that many piercings in my ear. Like I knew what I was
yeah,
going for. I had a goal. Um
yeah,
and then that was it for a while. And then I really wanted a lip piercing, and my mom was having a really hard time with that. And
yeah,
so she was like, and I wanted it before I went to college because I wanted to, enter college as like a new woman or whatever, with like a
yeah,
lip
yeah,
piercing. And so she was like, okay, at least do your first semester and like see how it goes. And then if you still want a lip piercing, then like I'll help you, like find a good person to do that. And so I did my first semester of college. I still wanted it, so I like came back winter break, and my stepsister actually was like, "Oh, I'll just like take you to get one. Like, let's go, let's do it." And that's when mom was like, "Okay, if you really want this bad enough, then I'm going to like take you to do it, and we're going to make sure it's the right person." And we're so I at least, appreciate that, when she kind of finally, I don't know, gave in, I guess. She was at
yeah,
least like she wasn't just gonna let me like go some random place and like get it.
yeah,
Which I appreciate because I do think that if you're going to get piercings, go to a piercer. Don't go
yeah,
to anywhere that's in a mall. Don't go to a Claire's, even if it's ear piercings, just simple ear piercings. Go to a
yeah,
piercer, like a tattoo shop that has someone who knows what they're doing. I am definitely really glad that the guy who pierced my lip was awesome and he knew what he
yeah,
was doing, and it was like a fine experience. It was hard because I don't like big needles. I'm
yeah,
not a needle person, which is why I think that that's it for me.
yeah,
I don't like I'm like that I don't think that I could handle anymore. I really wanted the lip piercing and I feel good about it now. So I think
yeah,
that's like it for me. But my
yeah,
tattoos, I mean, we could tell the story. I did get my second one during a pandemic. But it
yeah,
was kind of like the artist had her books open for the first time in I don't know years, and I was
yeah,
and she
yeah,
was doing customs, which is big. This tattoo artist that did my second tattoo doesn't do customs a lot, and I specifically wanted her to do this. So I like
yeah,
pitched her, the concept, and she was like, "Yes, let's go." And I love it. So that's why I did it. That
yeah.
was like
No,
late last year. Yeah. But my
it was
first
kind of
one,
like when it was the most okay to be
right?
doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And we still like, took measures and, wore
yeah,
masks, like all that stuff. And I was already vaccinated. Because it was
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
put off like multiple times, like throughout the whole
Yes,
year, this appointment for various reasons, like weather, all sorts of things. But I'm actually really glad it happened when it did, because I feel like it was like, the safest time that it could have happened for everyone.
yeah,
And honestly, if I'm gonna be anywhere during a pandemic, I kind of would be in a tattoo parlor because they keep those places clean, or at least like if it's a legit
yeah,
place. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
they keep everything in there clean. So I'm like, okay, I trust you. But
Yeah,
but my first tattoo, I don't know if you want to do you want to like move into like first tattoo stories?
yeah. I would love to.
Yeah.
My first tattoo happened before your first tattoo. Um, and my first tattoo happened in August of the year that I turned 18, and I turned 18 in June, so it was like 2 months after I turned 18,
You
and
were
I
ready. You
knew,
were one of those kids
yeah,
that was like, when I turn
yeah,
18, I'm getting a tattoo.
yes, I was, and I was really nervous about telling my parents I was going to do it, because I still like lived at home. It was like the summer before I went to college, so I still lived at home, and I knew I was going to do it over the summer, like before I went to college, and I made the appointment and everything, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to tell my parents before it happens so that they don't like, feel upset that I didn't tell them until afterwards or something. So I was
Oh,
like, okay.
uh-huh. Yeah.
And so I had this idea of what I was going to do. And I told them, like, oh, I have big news and I need to, like, tell you something. And I think they thought I was going to say something, like, outrageous.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I have been doing drugs or, like, I'm pregnant or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was just I made an appointment to get a tattoo. And
Yeah.
they were like, oh, they kind of like had like a mini freak out. Like it wasn't that dramatic, but they did like be unhappy about it for a minute. And they asked me what I was gonna get. They didn't like the thing that I said I was gonna get. And I remember specifically that my dad said something along the lines of, I think you really need to be like focusing on school. And I was like, that was when I kind of realized that their perception of tattoos was not like what my perception of tattoos
Oh,
was,
yeah.
where
Yeah,
they were
because
like,
yeah.
oh, if you're gonna like get a tattoo, that means you're gonna be, doing nefarious things or something.
Yeah.
Or like, involved in like some shady business or like I don't know. And so I was like, no, I literally just, the idea that I originally had was something slightly different than what I actually ended up getting. And I'm like really glad that I changed my mind actually. But I was just going to get a different word. And I'm
Oh.
glad that I changed my mind. But I didn't change my mind until the morning of the tattoo
Oh my
appointment.
gosh.
And so yeah, and I remember thinking like, am I crazy? Like I'm 18 and I'm getting a tattoo and I changed my mind about it like this morning. And like my parents are not super on board with me getting this tattoo. Um it was just like everything about it was kind of like the most impulsive and like kind of rebellious thing that I had like ever done, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Um I was like a pretty like, rule following kid, not all the time. Like this was kind of my peak era of being kind of a bad kid. But
Yeah.
like um
Yeah.
but yeah, I went to the appointment, changed my mind that morning, told the tattoo artist when I got there that the word was changing. And my first tattoo was like on my ribs, and it's really small. It's like just it's 5 letters. Is that true? Yeah, 5 letters.
Yeah.
um and so it really didn't. I think it like took 20 minutes. It didn't hurt very bad. I was really nervous that the needle was going to be like really scary. I'm also not a needles person, and I hadn't gotten a piercing at like when I got my first tattoo. I hadn't gotten a piercing since I got like my second holes in my earlobes when I was in 8th grade. So I kind of was like, oh, it's been like years. And I just like didn't exactly know how I was gonna react, but it was like fine. And I liked the tattoo a lot, like once it was done. And I just like didn't have any immediate regret, like at all. And I kept kind of like waiting for the regret to come. Like because I think I had been told so many times, like, oh, getting a tattoo, especially like an impulsive tattoo, is just like you're going to regret it, and like this is gonna be a mistake or whatever. And you're gonna like hate it someday. And like to be fair, I still am only 22. I don't know if you could hear that, sorry.
That's okay.
um but yeah, I'm only 23, so it's only been 5 years since I got that tattoo, which isn't long in the grand scheme of things, but I have no regret about my first tattoo. Like I still love it as much today as I did when I got it. It's not in a super visible place, but it is visible enough, like when I'm wearing a swimsuit or something. So yeah, that's my first tattoo story. My parents did not like it, but they didn't hate it, I guess. And they kind of just like learned to be okay with it. But their
Yeah.
reaction to that tattoo definitely shaped the way I like decided to, have the conversation be about tattoos in the future, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
My first tattoo, which because you were there. Oh
Yes.
wait, before I tell my
I wasn't
story.
like there.
Oh yeah, that's true. Before I tell my story, I don't know if you ever said why you chose that word. Like you even changed your mind like the last second. Like and like I know
Yeah.
I guess you like took French and stuff, but was there any like reason why you picked like that word specifically?
Yeah, so well, okay, um I wanted a tattoo that had the meaning of like being a woman basically. because it was kind of at a time in my life where I was just becoming like comfortable in my body and comfortable in like my sexuality and comfortable in like just being, you know, being an adult woman. Like I was 18, which some may argue is not an adult, like, you know, but like,
Yeah.
you know, I was like starting to be an adult. I was about to go to college. I was about to move out. I was about to like, you know, kind of embark on like life. And I just kind of like had this like feeling of like, ah, I'm like a woman now, you know? Like I don't know exactly why because it's not something that I mean I do identify with that completely. Like I am a woman. I completely identify as a woman, but I that's never been like a major part of my identity, I guess. Like it is, but it isn't. I don't know if that makes any sense. But
I
like
think it does.
but yeah, for some reason like I just needed my first tattoo to be like about being a woman. I don't know why, but it just did. And also like specifically kind of like a powerful woman. Um and so yeah, I ended up choosing the French word for woman because I think it's like even more feminine than like the English word for woman. I don't know exactly if that makes sense either, but to me it's more feminine, um but also like, you know, femme fatale, like that kind of vibes. It's
Yeah.
also more powerful, like kind of in my eyes. Um yeah, I don't know. I do speak French, but I didn't really choose it exactly because it's like a French word. It's more just like the vibes of femme is like more the vibes I was trying to go for. Also, and I didn't exactly mean it this way when I got it, but you know, in like queer relationships, usually the like more feminine presenting person like sometimes will identify as femme. And I don't really identify with that um extremely strongly, but sort of the vibe of that
Yeah.
is yeah, I don't know, I've never like actually really explained it to anybody except my own brain.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that explanation like made sense, but yeah, it's definitely like the placement is like under a boob, so it's like supposed to be very like feminine and but also like powerful because it's like on my ribs. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense actually. And it has like a
Yeah.
lot of like if you just kind of saw it, you wouldn't like I mean, I always thought it was like super cute and I feel like I got that vibe even though I didn't know exactly why you had chosen that. But I
Yeah.
feel like yeah, like even just seen is kind of like that. But also you know, if you just like saw it and didn't know the story, um it's like, oh man, I just completely forgot what I was saying. It's still like cute, I think. Like it's still just
Yeah.
like a classy little tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the other like the placement meaning, all of my tattoos have kind of like placement meanings as well. Not all of them, but like a little bit. And this one especially did, and it's like on the side of my rib cage that like my heart is on. And so it's like, you know, it's supposed to be like close to my heart as well, you know, like feminine and yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways,
Yeah. I feel
yeah.
like I did not put quite as much thought into my first tattoo. But but it's still of course very special to me. I got it when we were in England and
Yes.
it was a little bit spontaneous. I
Yeah.
remember because there was a little tattoo parlor right across the street from the university, which I feel like is a very smart place to put a tattoo place. Um
Yep.
and so I remember noticing it, you know, almost immediately, being like, "Oh my gosh, there's a tattoo place right here." And then like the brainworm started. Um and
Yeah.
then you actually it was before you had like molded, I think, with the group, you know, like our group of friends that we made when we were in England, you know, from
Yeah.
Pacific. And so you actually got your tattoo at the same place from the same artist before we did.
Yeah.
Um but then it was me and how many other friends? Like three other friends all went in on the
Yeah.
same day. and we were like, we all want tattoos. And also for two of us, wait, or was it only me? I was the only one who it was my first, like my very first tattoo. So, um, and I did think like really hard about it. I remember thinking about like what placement do I want, like all these things. And I ended up just making it very simple heart outline. And it's because I love hearts. Simply.
Yeah, simply.
I love hearts, and
Yeah.
also I feel like it was very like I remember being a kid and having like My Little Ponies and like Care Bears dolls,
Yeah.
and they have little like like all My Little Ponies have like, I mean, I don't know if they do anymore, but when I was a kid they all had a little magnet on the bottom of one of their feet that was shaped like a heart. I remember I had one that had
Yeah.
like a little heart in like the eye, 'cause sometimes like a little shine in the eye. And like Care
Yeah.
Bears have like little heart-shaped noses. And so I was like, this
Yeah.
is like my little heart shape, like it makes me feel very cute, to have like a little heart shaped thing, like this cute
Yeah.
little, you know. And
Oh my gosh, I just like remembered this picture I took of you in England because your bedding in England was heart shaped, like it was like pink with
oh,
hearts
I
on it.
brought yeah, that's a
Yeah.
duvet cover that my grandma made for me when we were like
Yeah.
babies, and it has hearts on it. Yeah.
I have this picture of you like laying up like upside down
Oh
on the
yeah, I
bed
was like
with like
laying
your
off
hair.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
know what
and
you're
you
talking
so you can
about.
see, yeah, very cute picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. And I wanted it to be super simple because, I didn't know how I felt about getting a tattoo or about tattoos or anything. I remember, researching like what are the less painful places, to typically get a tattoo, all that stuff. And I was also like very into like symmetry, so I'm like, well, if I put like it on one side of my body, I don't know. I had all these like weird thought processes about it. And then I
Yeah.
thought, okay, well, if I put it on the back of my neck, that is like it's right in the middle, so it's like symmetrical. And I can very much like choose whether or not I want it to show.
Yeah.
And so like it's very well hidden if I want it to be hidden. Um but it's also like easy to show if I want it to be shown.
Yeah.
And then also like my mom has a tattoo on the back of her neck. It's just like a little like black work like little horse head, which is kind of cute. So I was like, okay, well
Hmm.
maybe that's kind of cute too. So I just felt like it was a good like place to get a first tattoo.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah. And then I also want to say that I am very much like not a needle person. And I know that probably a lot of people that say something like this, but like tattoos are different because
They
and for
are.
me it's different because it doesn't feel like a needle, like
Yeah.
when you're getting like a shot or a piercing or whatever, that
Yeah, you
like
can feel the
it's
needle.
that like specific feeling that I absolutely like. It's literally my least favorite thing to experience. i
Yes.
I absolutely despise getting shots, getting like, oh my gosh, I can't. But
Yeah.
for tattoos it's a different kind of feeling. It's more like a scrapey than a needle. And I'm not gonna like
Yeah.
describe it in detail because I don't want to like gross people out, but
Yeah.
it's a different feeling. And I
It
remember
is.
thinking that, and again, my tattoo's just very small, so I didn't have to endure a lot. But I remember thinking that more than it was painful, it was just uncomfortable. It was just
Yeah, I
very
agree.
like uncomfortable. Um and but yeah, now it has like less it had like less meaning before I got it, if that made any sense. Because I picked
Oh,
it
totally. I
simply
have
just because
plenty that
it
are like that.
yeah, like simply just because it was a heart. Like I didn't pick anything that was like England specific, because I was studying abroad in England. But I also knew that just like the experience of getting it would be like the meaning for it. Like I didn't have
Yeah.
to get something England specific. I thought about it, but I knew that I didn't have to do that. I got something that was very specific to like my interests and my aesthetic like values.
Hmm.
Um but and now it has that meaning, because I got it with these new friends who I still, love and miss very much because I haven't seen a lot of
Yeah.
them in so long.
Yeah.
And we like all got it at the same time, and I still love it, possibly even more than when I first got it. And
Yeah.
I have absolutely zero like regret at all. Um yeah, so it just kind of like created meaning, with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And that's my
also got a
first tattoo.
tattoo. Yeah. I also got a tattoo from that same artist. I got it like I think maybe even like a week or 2 weeks before you, but it was like right at the same it was probably within like a week, maybe a week and a half of each other. But yeah, I went there because I knew that I wanted to get a tattoo in England and I wanted it to be England specific. And my thought was, I'm going to get kind of a collection of little tattoos on my ankle, on my right ankle, that sort of like represent all the places that I've called home. And so I got the first one I got was England, and I got a little teacup, just like an outline of a teacup, on my ankle. And with the thought that, eventually I was going to get something for Oregon. Eventually, I went on to like live in Budapest after that. So then I like knew that I would get one in Budapest. And like now I'm think like probably my next tattoo probably will be a tattoo for Bellingham, since I've been here now for a while. But yeah, so I got it with the idea of it being like a small piece and like a collection of tattoos that I get in each place that I've like called home. And so it was the first one, and so it was kind of like, starting that like tradition, I guess, and starting that like collage of tattoos. And also England meant a lot to me. England, I think, is like, yes, it's a place that I spent, 6 months, but it even more than that, it's like the first other place that I ever spent a really long period of time in. I mean, I guess Forest Grove versus Medford was a big change as well. But specifically, I mean, England is different because
Yeah,
it's just different.
England was a big deal. It's a foreign
It
country.
was.
We didn't know anyone. I don't think you knew anyone else.
No.
I didn't know anyone else. I had met other people who, were like in our class that went. But I
Yeah.
mean, it was a huge deal for me, and I know it,
Yeah.
must have been like, a similarly huge deal
For
for
me
you.
as
So,
well. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's very like I feel like it makes sense to have gotten a tattoo like for both of us in England because it was just
Yeah.
something that is like could be permanently symbolized in our skin, because it was a big
Yeah.
deal.
It was a big deal, and I knew that I wanted a tattoo to like just remind me of everything that I felt there. And the teacup does have meaning, a little bit, I guess. It has, I think, more like implicit meaning than like direct meaning. Because I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, it's like a teacup, and like in England, you drink
Yeah,
tea.
and we
I mean,
did drink a lot of tea, so
we did drink a lot of tea, and I think there was just I wrote like a whole piece about this, so I'm not going to just repeat everything because it's also very long. But
we
yeah,
can link it.
basically, yeah, the teacup meant a lot to me. Specifically the act of drinking tea. Like, I don't know, my dad's family is British, so like England and like British things mean a lot to me in like a lot of weird sentimental ways as well. But like specifically getting a little teacup on my ankle in England as like the start of my collage of little like souvenirs on my ankle is really important to me. I will say it's the only tattoo that I kind of don't like that's on my body right now, and it's because
Oh.
it's messed up.
Yeah.
Like, I like the concept still. And I'm really glad I got it, but and we can talk a little bit about this, but the tattoo shop that we went to, the artist there who did both of our tattoos just kind of didn't do an amazing job.
Yeah, she was an apprentice. And
Yeah.
so, and yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to be mean or anything, but like, she was the apprentice artist and obviously hadn't had, years of experience. And
Yeah.
I do think that all of our tattoos, actually, I don't know if Langston's, he got like a bird, and I actually don't know if that one had any issues. I feel like
Yeah.
funny enough, I feel like the most complicated one done, she did like the best. But
yeah, because
yeah.
like Avery's is kind of messed up. Yours is
Yeah.
kind of messed up. Mine is like
Yeah.
really messed up.
Mine though, when I got my second tattoo, she touched it up and it's amazing and I feel like I love it even more now. At first it was
Yeah,
actually a little bit weird because I was used to it being the way that it was, like a little bit not perfect. But now it's like so perfect and I'm just like it like you know, like
yeah,
opened up like my excitement for it. It's like I got a
yeah,
new tattoo. I'm like, it's like new,
yeah,
but it's also not. I don't know, but I got
yeah.
mine touched up is what I was saying.
Yes,
Yeah,
I need to get mine touched up, especially because I keep getting tattoos right next to it.
yeah.
It's like so easy
I'm
for
almost
somebody to just touch
surprised
it
that
up.
no artist has been like, you want me to fix this real quick?
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other, I'll just like briefly say the other ones on my ankle because they're fit the same theme. Which in Budapest I got a sailboat, just a little black sailboat. Which is because I had a bad time in Budapest and I really had to learn the lesson that smooth seas don't make good sailors. And so you have to have bad times to like know how to deal with them and know how to like what you want in life.
Yeah.
Um, so that's that sailboat tattoo that I got in
Well, and there
Budapest.
was also like a little river there, right? That like partly
Yeah.
inspired that. Yeah, with little
Yeah.
boats.
I mean the actual story is I was having a really bad time, like a really bad time, and I went on a walk because I was really upset. And I was listening to music in my headphones, walking, and I walked past the Danube River, and I saw this sailboat on the Danube. Um, and at the same time, like literally the same moment that I saw this sailboat, like coming down the river, Smooth Seas Don't Make Good Sailors by Neck Deep came on in my headphones. And I just like, I was already kind of like crying a little bit, but like not a lot. But I like
Oh.
started like actually crying. And I
Oh.
was just like, that's right. Like, smooth seas don't make good sailors. Like, I gotta just like this is a hard time and I gotta like get through it. And so when I was trying to decide what I wanted as a tattoo souvenir from Budapest, it like just only seemed right to get a
Yeah.
sailboat.
Yeah.
um and then the other one that I have that I got the most recently, and this is my most recent tattoo. I got a little tiny Doug fir tree with a bunch of roots coming out of it. So it's like the tree, but then it like the roots are almost the same size as the tree, like coming down off of it. And the whole tattoo is only like an inch high, maybe.
It's amazingly
Um,
small and amazingly detailed.
yes. And Doug firs are the state tree of Oregon, and I grew up in Oregon. I went to college in Oregon. And so it just made sense to get that tree with like a bunch of roots because my roots are in Oregon, and yeah. Um, so yeah, those are my little souvenir tattoos, which I love a lot. But I think they look the least, they make the least amount of sense if you don't know the story, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, it's just like, what's this
But
random collage of tiny little things?
yeah,
Yeah.
but I kind of like it that way because I like being able to tell a story of like what they are,
Yeah.
because I think it's a nice idea to have like, little souvenirs from everywhere you've like called home. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my tattoo stories with that. I do want to talk about your other tattoo as well because it goes along with one of my other tattoos too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I only have one other one. You have like I didn't even
Yeah.
realize you have like so many more than me, so um
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so the only other one that I have that I got, I want to say it was in August, like July and August last
Hmm.
year, so not very long ago.
Yeah.
But I still love it. Also no regrets with this one. I'm actually like so happy with it. But it's
Yeah.
just a little black outline of plastic vampire fangs, and I feel like I had this idea. I don't want to say it was before you got your like hip butt tattoo, but it might have been or like a little bit after.
Well, I remember you telling me at one point, and I think it might have been in England, like when we got our other tattoos, or sometime around that time. Because I know that I had the idea for my tattoo in the summer after we got home from England, and I texted you
Mm.
about it.
Mm.
But I think you might have told me like sometime before that you wanted to get vampire fangs, but you didn't know like where, like
Oh,
what or
okay.
something.
See, I don't even really remember, but I remember that it
But
had been an idea like for a long time.
yeah,
Because like, I like vampires. I like that kind of thing. And like I have a very small collection of like plastic vampire fangs. I don't have any, or at least I don't think I do, have any like really specific story that goes along with it or anything. I mostly just think it's like cute hot goth GF moves, and so like,
yeah,
and that's like the
exactly.
vibe that I want to be.
Yeah,
And so I really just kind of think it's like cute. Um and then like this specific tattoo artist has a really awesome style. She does really awesome work. She's a really awesome person. Her name is Seven, and she's at Rosewater Tattoo in Portland. I'm just gonna shout her out because she deserves it. Um,
she does. She did both of our ass tattoos, and
yeah,
they're both fucking impeccable.
yeah. So, um, yeah. So I just had that idea, and I had it done, and I do remember thinking when I was getting this tattoo, I was like, this sucks a little bit. This is not like a super fun event. And so I was
Yeah,
kind of thinking like how many more like how much more of this do I think I could like logically tolerate? Like how many more tattoos, cuz I don't know. I know that I want at least one more, and I have a lot of ideas, but and we could definitely talk about that cuz I want to, cuz we have at least
yeah,
one big idea like that I really want to talk about. But
yeah,
I kind of remember thinking like, okay, how much of this do I like, realistically think I could handle? But it wasn't really that bad. And when she touched up my heart, I remember thinking, like, this seems like it's more intense than the first time, which I feel like makes sense because there were lots of parts of it that had kind of like thinned. And I feel like the
yeah,
first artist didn't like go deep enough. But she
yeah,
definitely did. She didn't go like too deep. It turned out amazing. Like it's healed up like awesome.
yeah,
The lines are like
hmm,
so crisp and it's so
yeah,
amazing. But yeah, now I have very just like low key, you know, that like Halloween aesthetic. I don't know. But
yeah. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And I'll just talk about my ass tattoo as well, really quick. But I had this like just like epiphany. I don't know how to describe it any other way because I literally was just like minding my own business and this thought came to my head and I couldn't do anything but like entertain it. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't just like let this thought go. Like it has to manifest in some way. And the thought was skeleton hand doing a finger gun. Like I just for some reason, skeleton hand making a finger gun just like came to my head. And so I started like looking to see, I was like, that would be such a good tattoo. And I was like looking and I couldn't find anybody else like on the internet that has that. I like searched it up and like I couldn't find any pictures of like people having that. And I wouldn't say like any of my tattoos really are like that unique besides that one. But I like my tattoos to be kind of like my own thing, like I don't want it to just be something that everybody has. Um, and so I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing tattoo idea. And like I thought of it before like everybody else,
Yeah.
And so I remember I texted you like that day and I was like, what if? What if?
Yeah. But
And I
wait,
remember you
am I not remembering like sorry, I'm interrupting you, but
yeah,
we were at a tattoo convention and
mm-hmm,
we walked up to Seven's booth and she had that
exactly.
in in her
I
flash
know.
book. So
Yeah.
that just
So
was
what
like a coincidence.
so what happened was as I like texted you that idea like over the summer. And then we got back to school and we decided to go to a tattoo convention. And I knew that the next tattoo I wanted to get was finger gun doing or skeleton hand making a finger gun. And I knew that I wanted it on my butt. I think I might have even said that like the day that I thought of the idea, but it was like the idea came, then I was like, well, where would I put it? And then I was like, it just has to be like,
Yeah.
kind of on my butt. Like it just kind of does. And I definitely thought that it was like a little bit like silly maybe or like kind of like oh that's a tattoo that like you would regret one day,
Oh, right. Yeah.
but then I was like the more I thought about it because I did think about it for like 4 months or something
Yeah.
before I like made any moves, but I
Yeah.
was like I think I want to do
Yeah.
this.
And you
And so
know
we went
what?
to
Like,
this.
yeah, it like it makes you feel good. Like mine,
Yeah,
like, it makes me feel good. Like
I
it's
know.
fun. And I'm like, you know what? I'm only
Yeah,
living one, short whatever life on this earth or whatever. I might as well have fun. So,
yeah,
yeah, and yeah,
exactly.
it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel cute. And that's all a tattoo really, has
Should
to
do.
do. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to have it doesn't, I mean, of course it's awesome if it does, but it doesn't have to have like a
no.
long backstory with any, deep special
Yeah,
meaning or anything. Sometimes if it just makes you feel good, and it's
it just
fun.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we went to the tattoo expo, we I was specifically looking for an artist to do that tattoo. And so we like talked to a bunch of artists and like whatever, and we went up to Seven's booth, and I was like, look, I really liked her style just like immediately. But we were like looking through her flash, and she had it was like slightly different. It was a finger gun, or I keep saying it wrong, but it was a skeleton hand making a finger gun with like a flower coming out of the gun,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I had this idea for this tattoo and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I can't believe it's in your Flash stuff. Um, I want to get this tattoo with you. And she was like, okay, yeah, let's like make an appointment like right now.
Yeah.
And so we did. And then I got the tattoo in October, I believe, which was not very long after we went to the tattoo expo.
Well, a lot of people do. Like, I'm a little bit surprised. Well, I'm not that surprised because it's like it was in a place where you had to take off clothes. But a lot
Yeah,
of people get like that's my sister's first tattoo. She got it at a tattoo convention. Like they are
yeah.
expecting people to get tattoos at the convention. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I definitely wasn't against that. I think for maybe because it was on my butt, and maybe because maybe we just like didn't have time, or like maybe she was busy. I don't know, but
yeah,
like for
yeah,
whatever reason, we just like scheduled the appointment. And I always say now that the meaning behind that tattoo is that it's dumb on purpose, and
yeah,
like so should
yeah,
I. Like I should also be dumb on purpose sometimes.
yeah,
Like it's kind of a good
yeah.
reminder, like you were just saying, like to just have fun about life, and it doesn't have to be like that serious. But yeah, I have no regrets. Like I got that at least 3 years ago now. And
Wow.
I think if I was going to regret it, I would by now.
Right. Yeah.
It also just like Seven does such a good job. It looks so good. Um, yeah, it was like my least painful tattoo, I think. It's not very big. I just remember it going by like really fast and being, I mean, it has like detail. It's like a skeleton hand with like knuckles and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's decently detailed, but it just like only took 20 minutes, I think, and it looks so good and it's held up so well. And yeah, I love that tattoo. That is probably my favorite tattoo that I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I got it just kind of to be dumb. And I have a different thing that I wrote about that tattoo that's called On Ass Tattoos and Self Love, that I really like. And I think it explains what I'm like trying to say better than I can in this moment. But yeah, I do love that tattoo a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you ready to talk about I just really want to talk about the tattoos that we're planning on getting.
Yes, yeah, our next tattoos, I would love this to be my next tattoo. I know you would love
Yes.
if
Yes.
it were
I
your
I
next tattoo as
actively
well.
like plan on this being my next tattoo. I just don't know who's going to do it or like when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have a tattoo that we would like to get together that is, they're not exactly matching, but it's like the vibe is matching, they mean the same thing. And it's definitely like a friendship tattoo, like a we're best friends and now we have tattoos about it kind of thing. And there's this song by the Wonder Years, which we're going to talk about the Wonder Years later, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a band called the Wonder Years, and they have this song called Flowers Where Your Face Should Be. And amazing song. And in it they reference hydrangeas and azaleas. And so we decided that we wanted to get each of us to get one of those flowers, um about the song and about each other, and like yeah,
Yeah. And I feel
very
like I kind of already would like definitely get flower tattoos anyway. Like, I'm
Oh yeah,
honestly kind of surprised it hasn't happened already. Like, it wasn't my first tattoo to get a flower, because I
yeah,
love flowers. And I don't, and it could be partly because of the song, but I also think that just like since I started going to Pacific, there was hydrangeas all over campus, and I just think that they're beautiful. They've become like one of my
yeah,
top favorite flowers. And so when we had that idea to do that, I was like, oh, hydrangeas for me for sure. Like, because
yeah,
I would just do that anyway, because that's like an
yeah,
awesome idea. Yeah. And I think I want to
yeah.
get it on a shoulder blade area.
Yes, and that is where. So my other tattoo that I have is a carnation, which I have on my right shoulder, and that is a friendship tattoo with my other friend Taylor, and we got each other's birth flowers on our on each other's shoulders, and so I think it's very like parallel to get a another like flower friendship tattoo on my other shoulder, and then
Yeah.
it's like I've got my two girlies like
Yeah.
on
That's
my
so cute.
shoulders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when we were in the car, we were in Crescent City, which Crescent City is mentioned in the song as well. And we were, I think, listening to that song or talking about the Wonder Years or
Yeah.
something.
And we were talking, and I think I saw a tattoo parlor.
Yeah. And we were like, wouldn't it be crazy if we just got like Wonder Years tattoos
Yeah.
in Crescent City like about this song? And then we were like, yeah, that'd be crazy unless
Yeah. Obviously
um
not that day. We were like not prepared to
no,
have something like that happen that
no.
day, but like it became a plan that day.
It did. And that was like a while ago. That was
Oh my
before I went to
gosh, yeah.
Budapest.
Yeah, that
It was like a
was.
long time ago.
Yeah.
So we have been like talking about it for like years now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm
And
ready for it to happen.
me too. Like I've not had any doubts like since we talked about it that day about like not doing it. I'm like, no, that would be an amazing tattoo. I would love
Yeah.
to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would get an azalea, you would get hydrangea on our shoulders. Very cute.
Yeah. And I think I want it to be like at least one little clump because they come in like clumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want it done in a way where like I've been having so many ideas about this and I'm not sure exactly what side yet, but I want
Mm-hmm.
it to be done in a way where like I could add more stuff later if I wanted to
Yeah.
because I'm so totally into like if I do get more tattoos, I'm very into tattooing my back for some reason. I'm like tattoo my whole
Yeah.
back. Also my legs, but that would be like later cuz I also want like I want laser hair removal so I don't have to worry about it and then just like
Yeah.
tattoo my legs. But that's like a later thing. My active
Yeah.
ideas are that those like flower like hydrangeas on my back and then I really want a dragon
Yeah.
but like a cute dragon like a
Yeah.
smaller like kind of like less hardcore more like fairy type dragon going on and I feel like that would be really cute with like more flowers like if like I could add like have like the hydrangeas on one side and then like the dragon on the other side and have that kind of be
Yeah.
like a symmetrical like something
Cute.
but
Yeah.
that's what I've been having like the most thoughts about recently is I'm like what
Yeah.
if I did this so that's been
Yeah.
like my big tattoo
I
thoughts.
my big tattoo thoughts have also been our Wonder Years tattoo. But the other one is I think it's time for me to get a math tattoo. I just like haven't
Oh
exactly decided what or where, like the details of that. But I do think that's in my future. And then I also will be getting my Bellingham tattoo on my ankle pretty
yeah.
soon.
Do you have any
Um,
ideas for what you want that to be?
a little bit, yeah. I've thought about getting the outline of the mountains,
Oh.
kind of like in the collage. I've also thought about getting the specific like land horizon thing that I see outside of my balcony
Mm-hmm.
tattooed on. Oh, the other tattoo that I it came about like the idea came about because I was thinking about what I wanted to get for Bellingham. And I thought about getting a tattoo of my tree, Arthur, because I got this
I
tree
was
like the
gonna
day that
say,
I
what
moved
about
here.
your tree? Yeah.
Yeah, and I love him so much, Arthur, my tree. But I realized I don't want it to be that small. I don't want it to just be on my ankle. If I'm gonna get a tattoo of Arthur, I want it to be like a big tattoo, or like not huge, but like, you know, decently, big somewhere else on my body. Um, I think the other thing that I just wanted to talk about before we end is like how tattoos and piercings can be like aesthetic or they can be like meaningful. I think we've made our position clear that it can be either or neither or both, and like that's fine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Um yeah, and the other thing that I did want to talk about is like more extreme body mods. And we've been talking about tattoos and piercings, but I want to know, like, what are your thoughts on more extreme things like plastic surgery, about like, getting your tongue split, or like
The
scarification.
horns, yeah. All of that kind of stuff I've grown where my stance on it is currently is well, and it's funny because plastic surgery I feel like it's the same thing but it's also not, because it's a
Yeah,
permanent body modification, or I guess like piercings aren't permanent, but like stuff like,
right.
um
Yeah.
but my current stance on stuff like that has really just become like I think that everyone should be able to be comfortable in their own skin and feel like they are the most valuable and beautiful, like the way that they are. Like everyone in their natural raw forms, ideally that would be your most comfortable form. And I know that, our society and media and expectations and stereotypes don't allow that to be a thing for most people,
Mm-hmm.
but like I try to believe that for myself. Like I get these, these piercings and dye my hair and, body modification type things because I think it's fun and I think it's a way to express like personality and also like,
Yeah, totally.
align yourself with certain, like when people look at you, what are they going to think? Like how do you want to appear to people? So I think that, ideally everyone should feel the best in their natural form, but, it's your choice. If you're going to be comfortable with whatever, even if it's very severe, like body modification, if that's what's going to make you feel the most confident and the most comfortable in your own skin, like I am in no place to judge any of that. And I think that's kind of
Yeah.
like basically my stance on that kind of thing. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
judge someone,
Yeah.
for doing what makes them comfortable.
Yeah, I think, just like tattoos and just like everything else, if you choose to do that, then you should be able to choose to do that. And like, yeah, I think obviously there's a market for it. Like people do want that kind of stuff. So I think, because I think some of that stuff is like borders on like not being legal or like
Oh,
whatever in some
uh-huh.
states, and like, and I just like don't think that that
Yeah.
should be the case. I mean, I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it should be, not like an underground thing, because that's going to
Oh, uh-huh.
be sketchy.
Mhm.
Like, just like tattoo artists have to like, abide by certain standards. I think,
Oh, yeah.
people
Yeah.
doing other body mods should have to abide by certain standards. And so making those kinds of things illegal just makes it so that nobody
Yeah, so
can
people are getting it like
get it
not
safely.
safely. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, because some stuff, some severe like body modifications can be really dangerous. And they
yeah,
they could they even have like an amount of danger for your body if you do them correctly.
totally. Yeah.
So like yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think that it's like the state's place to decide like, what
Yeah,
what people choose to do with their own bodies.
totally. Yeah. Um, with that, I guess we should wrap up. I
Yeah.
I could ask a classroom question, but maybe we just ran out of time today.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we haven't in a little bit, and it's
I
like
know.
a thing that we need to keep up with, but I don't know, it's up to us.
Yeah, I mean, we can just save it for
Yeah.
next time
Yeah.
and just do it next time.
Yeah. We just have so many thoughts about things.
I know. I know. This was a good topic, I guess.
Yeah.
Um yeah, anyways, so I guess that's everything we want to say about tattoos and piercings for now.
Oh yeah.
And until next time, I love you so much.
I love you too.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.